6 limited sync pairs again. Hiya! And what's worse, 4 Poke Fairs. I've said before, they're experimenting 1 Poke Fair, 2 Poke Fairs, 3 Poke Fairs. Now they bring in 4 Poke Fairs. 5 out of 5 grids. Oh my goodness. In this video, we discuss each one in depth with their maximum kits. So with that said, strap on your seatbelts, sit tight. Let's see who among these sync pairs are worth your gems. Shake my head. Yo, 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 this is Saul, also known as SPL Gum, also known as Spatial Gum, also known as Grunt, your artist Team Skull Grunt, and this is Pokemon Masters EX. And in this video, we discuss all the sync pairs that come in the May 2023 update, including the 2 sync pairs that come out in the last few days of April. That's Sygna Suit Hau and Sygna Suit Mina. And first things first, I would like to say, hiya! 6 limited time sync pairs again. Last month we got 6 limited time sync pairs, and I don't know when this cycle will end. In fact, you know guys, before I used to say that October, starting October, is the month or is the season of limited time sync pairs. Or was it in October, November, December? December is the time of limited time sync pairs. And it ends normally on February because holiday seasonals, New Year seasonals, Valentine seasonals, anniversary units. We've been getting non-stop limited sync pairs. Not just ending in March, April, May, we get everything limited. What the heck, DNA? You gotta stop this. You gotta stop this as quickly as possible. Next month, there should be at least 1, 2, 3 Spotlight Scouts with no more than 6 sync pairs. No more than 6 sync pairs. Or no more than 6 new sync pairs that are scoutable. Alright? Let us agree with that because this is not going... This is not good. This is definitely not good. Not just for free-to-play players, but also for people who spend money on this game. Because the direction this game is heading is just shake my head. Just shake my head. Anyway guys, hit the thumbs up right now and let us begin our discussion. You can comment your thoughts down below if you agree with my rant, and whoever you want to scout among these 6 sync pairs, we'll be discussing them in depth in this video. But if you just want 1 copy of these sync pairs, you can check out my 1 out of 5 or none out of 5 video instead, where I discuss just getting 1 copy of these sync pairs. What do they bring to your game? What are their capabilities whatsoever? But in this video, we discuss the full extent of these sync pairs. So before we begin, a huge shout out first to all the members of my channel. As you can see your names here, thank you guys so much for your support and generosity. And an extra shout out to all the gifters of my channel over here for all the generosity, extra generosity, giving these people gift memberships. Thank you guys so much. And now, let us begin our discussion. Alright, we have 2 sync pairs that came out or coming out April 28, April 30. They end on June 1 together with the part 2 of the Alolan Villain Arc sync pairs. May 12 for Sygna Suit Acerola, May 14 for Sygna Suit Lana. Tech, support, strike. Again, tech, support, physical strike, but then she also has a special attack, Moonblast over here. Meanwhile, Agatha comes out on May 7. She is a support sync pair. And Lance over here is a tech sync pair. So overall, we got 2 tech sync pairs. We got 2 or 3 supports and 1 striker. Again, 2 techs, 3 supports, 1 striker. And what can I say? All the Poke Fairs in this update That's 4 of them. 4 of the Sygna suits have 5 out of 5 grids. If you want to unlock their full potential, you have to get 5 copies. But do you need 5 copies? Well, later on you'll find out. But overall, 4 copies, 5 copies is just extra. All the multipliers you need are mostly at the 3rd copy. And 4 out of 5 just makes them stronger. 5 out of 5 just makes them extra strong. But 3 copies will probably do. In fact, 1 copy might do to bring in the basic kit for everyone. Meanwhile, Agatha and Lance over here, if you scout for them, if you do multiples, 3 multiples on their banners, you get presents. You get 3 support move candy coins for Agatha. You get 3 tech move candy coins for Lance. And if you have paid gems, and if you want to not be shafted, you want 1 copy for sure, you can get, or you can use 7,500 paid gems to get 1 copy, at least 1 copy of Agatha together with 20 custom power-ups, or get 1 copy, at least 1, for Lance plus 20 custom power-ups for him in their paid round. Meanwhile, Hau, Mina, Acerola, and Lana do not have paid routes, do not have gifts. So if you get shafted, that's 36,600 non-paid gems if you want to go for their banners. Alright, that is the intro for them. Now let us proceed to their kits. Starting with Sygna suit Hau and Tapu Koko. Now I've discussed this already, so I'm gonna very quickly brief this. If you want to know more about him, you can check out my The Good and the Bad for Sygna suit Hau and Tapu Koko. But now that he's out, the most interesting thing about him is 1 move gauge buddy move. So at the start of the battle, you bring in electric terrain. When you bring in electric terrain, your B Electro Web will be unlocked. If you have any other sync pair that can bring in terrain, that can bring in weather, that can bring in zones, B Electro Web will also be unlocked. And every single time electric terrain is active, everyone in your team will get their moves powered up because of Team Power Induction 2, his passive skill. And every single time an ally, including himself, activates a weather condition, a terrain, or a zone, everyone will get 1 stack of special moves up next effect, which will power up every single ally's special moves, special attacks by 40%. He has a sync move called Thundering Deity Gigavolt Havoc, which powers up when the field is electric terrain, and since it's an electric type attack, it will already be powered up by electric terrain itself. Plus, this is an additional multiplier. He also has Fairy Wish. So if you're looking for a zone setter, a Fairy Zone setter, he can bring in both electric terrain and Fairy Zone. Aside from this, his 1 move gauge buddy move will lower everyone's opponent's speed stat -2 and raise everyone in your team's speed stat +2. Maximum power, his trainer move will raise your special attack +4 and raise your critical hit rate -1 raise your critical hit rate +2. And if you have Fairy Zone active, you will get your sync move countdown reduced -1. Dazzling Gleam, normal attack over here that AoE hits everyone. Alright, with his grid, interesting things. Multipliers are at 2 out of 5 for the attacks. You have Dazzling Gleam, Super Duper Effective 5, Whimsical Power 9, Power Induction 1. Weird Vibes 5 is weird because you need Psychic Terrain in order to power him up. And you don't exactly bring in Psychic Terrain by using Sygna suit Hau. Psychic Terrain is when you bring in Tapu Lele, if I'm not mistaken, for Mina, or rather for Lana. So Sygna suit Lana can bring in Psychic Terrain. Other sync pairs can bring in Psychic Terrain. But take note that Psychic Terrain cannot stack with Electric Terrain. So the moment Psychic Terrain is active, well, Team Power Induction, let me just check if it will activate. No, it will not activate because the field needs to be Electric Terrain for Team Power Induction. So it's a weird thing why he has Weird Vibes 5. Weird. Cakewalk, Whimsical, Sync 5 are at 3 copies, and Power Plant will set your field to electric terrain every single time you use a sync move using him. Now, he has a fairy, or rather electric zone, electric terrain extension, which means your electric terrain will probably last for a very, very, very long time. You don't even have to worry about electric terrain going away. Other tiles, I have discussed them in my The Good and the Bad video. You can just check that out. But 4 out of 5 got Adrenaline 1 Quick Tempo. 5 out of 5 every single time you use a Fairy Wish, your sync pairs will get a special moves up next effect. And Unfortuitous 9, since his attacks are all AoE, every single time you use Dazzling Gleam or Be Electro Web, you get to lower 1 random stat for all opponents because of Unfortuitous 9 at 5 out of 5. Alright, that's Sygna Suit Hau and Tapu Koko. And now let's move on to a new sync pair, Sygna Suit Mina and Tapu Fini. This starts on April 30, and this one is a Fairy Zone setter. At the start of the battle, you bring in Fairy Zone, and it extends the duration of Fairy Zone by a long time because of Fairy Zone extension, which I like because Fairy Zone, you know, zone units with extension is expensive. The zone setter with extension right now is Sygna Suit Wally. And if I'm not mistaken, Fairy Zone extension is at 5 out of 5. If I'm not mistaken, this one, just getting 1 copy will extend your Fairy Zone immediately. So if you have Mina over here, Sygna Suit Mina, and you have Sygna Suit Wally over there, just 1 copy, you know, when your Fairy Zone goes away, you just call in another Fairy Zone. It will extend for a pretty long period of time. She has Rain Dance, which brings in rain, which is interesting because after, you know, if you want, what this does is if it is rainy, your Be Protect, which is your buddy move, will raise or will restore everyone's HP stat plus 30% instead of plus 20%. Or rather, no, wrong, sorry. It has to be Fairy Zone for Be Protect to recover everyone's HP to 30% instead of 20%, which will work most of the time. You will restore 30% HP, it will give everyone a damage guard next effect, and it will restore everyone's lowered stats to normal when it is raining. So if the opponent has debuffed you in some way, or if you have debuffed yourself by using trainer moves, or, you know, moves that debuff yourself, if it is raining and you use Re-Protect, your lowered stats will go back to normal. Pretty as a Painting is her trainer move, and this applies the critical hit defense to the allied field of play so that you do not get the opponent to hit you with crits, as well as raise your special attack for everyone plus 4. If you have Rain, it will raise everyone's special attack stat to maximum instead of to plus 4. It will raise your special attack plus 6 instead. And it will give everyone gradual healing, which is okay. And Draining Kiss, the more you damage the opponent, you just recover a little bit of HP. So what else does she have? Passive skills. She has Team Whimsical Special Damage Reduction 3. If the field is Fairy Zone, you'll receive less special attack damage for everyone in your team. Special attack tankier for everyone if it is Fairy Zone. And then Pony Ocean Breeze, every single time an ally brings in a weather condition, a terrain, or a zone, you will have everyone's defense and special defense raised plus 1. So at the start of the battle, you have everyone's defense and special defense raised by 1 because of Fairy Zone debut. And every single time you use Rain Dance, you'll have everyone's defense and special defense raised again. If you have 3 out of 5 Fairy Kingdom over here, Fairy Kingdom turns the field into Fairy Zone after you use a sync move. You know, she's a support sync pair. And you want to use support sync pairs for your sync moves first so that you will get a double sync buff. So, by getting Fairy Kingdom, you use your sync move, you will raise everyone's defense and special defense +1 because it's setting up another Fairy Zone. If your Fairy Zone is not yet over, well, it just overlaps it with another Fairy Zone. That means your Pony Ocean Breeze should trigger again. 1 out of 5, you get Flameproof Stalwart. 2 out of 5, nothing interesting. Draining Kiss can confuse the opponent. Pretty as a Painting, Full Bracing Command 9 basically just raises your defense and special defense by an additional 1 if you use this. And remember that Pretty as a Painting only has 1 MP. So I'd rather not get this way unless you want to get the MP refresh, because you can only raise your defense and special defense 1 time only this method. Racing Rain, Rain Dance, Rain Gear, Whimsical Acceleration speeds up the move gauge if it's Fairy Zone. Again, Fairy Kingdom at 3 out of 5. Rain Dance Barricade Buddies 1 raises everyone's special defense if you use Rain Dance. Plus Pony Ocean Breeze raises everyone's special defense, raises everyone's defense. Sync Wall, after you use your sync move for the very first time, it will give you a critical hit defense. Remember, critical hit defense can also be triggered by using her trainer move. Team Sharp Entry 1 starts the battle with critical hit rate +1. As you might know, she cannot raise anyone's critical hit rate. And this is the only way you are able to raise everyone's critical hit rate using her with Team Sharp Entry 1 at 3 copies. Team Smart Start 1 at the start of the battle. Everyone will get a special moves up next effect. That's 40% increase in damage. Team Whimsical Immunity, status conditions cannot be triggered for your team from your allies or from your enemies if the field is Fairy Zone. And at 4 copies, you got Adrenaline 1, which basically reduces your sync move countdown. Rain Dance Catalytic Kick speeds up your move gauge after you use Rain Dance. And at 5 out of 5, you get Master Healer 1 for Draining Kiss. You get to recover a little bit more HP. And why is Synchro Healing at 5 out of 5? Hiya. Hiya. Well, I'd want Synchro Healing if I get Synchro Healing for her, I'll definitely get Fairy Kingdom for her. So that every single time I'll sync, I'll use my other fairy types for attacking. I'll always be guaranteed that there will be a Fairy Zone active. And every single time I sync using her, I get to recover 20% for all my sync pairs. But again, Synchro Healing could have been at 2 copies, 3 copies, instead of at 5 copies, just like Annabelle. Because Annabelle is the support sync pair. It's the first support sync pair that has Synchro Healing at 5 out of 5, which I do not support, and I'm sad to see it happening a second time with Sygna Suit Mina. Anyway, guys, that's Sygna Suit Mina. Let's move on to the next one. Agatha and a not ghost type. This is the variety scout of this update. This is the bait unit. Just for Roy, so that Roy has been requesting Agatha so long, and now you can get her with Arbok. Not a ghost type. And Poison Sting, it's one opponent leaves that opponent poison 30% chance. But she has a passive skill, Hostile Environment 1, which doubles the chances of poisoning an opponent. That's 60% chance of poisoning the opponent instead of 30 times. You have Wrap, which traps the opponent. You have Leer that hits every single opponent and lowers their defense stat -1. Don't Hold Back is weird because it's only 1 MP. I'm expecting at least 2 MP for this one. This raises everyone's attack, special attack, and critical hit rate by 2. Again, I have my questions. I have a lot of questions about this being 1 MP. It's not exactly OP enough to warrant just 1 MP. And then as a support sync pair, you know, if you decide to 6-star EX her, you'll get a double sync buff. No multipliers over here. But the most interesting thing about her is Team Underhanded Heal 4. If you attack an opponent that is poisoned, or burned, or paralyzed, or sleeping, you have a 50% chance of healing everyone's HP by a little bit. 50% chance of recovering everyone's HP by a little bit if you attack an opponent that is poisoned, at least for Agatha, for the opponent, because you can poison the opponent using Agatha's Poison Sting. Full Bracing, Pokemon Move 9. If your Pokemon uses a move that means Poison Sting, Wrap, or Leer, you raise your defense and special defense stat +1. You have to use 6 different moves in order to max out your defense and special defense. Self-tanky. Hostile Environment 1, we have discussed that. Now let's move on to the Sync Grid. 1 copy Antitoxin, Escape Artist, Leer, Move Gauge 3. Not really that crazy. Don't Hold Back, Hit and Heal 9 gives herself gradual healing effect. I wish that it was everyone instead of just her getting that gradual healing effect. Don't Hold Back, MP Refresh 2. You probably want this because, again, as I said, you only raise +2 for everyone instead of +3 at least, or +4. Poison Sting, Move Gauge Refresh 3. Poke Trap 2 increases the damage the opponent takes from being trapped. Potent Toxin increases the opponent's damage received when the opponent is poisoned. Quick Cure, Terrify 1 at the start of the battle lowers everyone's attack. Wrap, Move Gauge Refresh 3. And at 3 out of 5, you get Don't Hold Back, All Ramp Up 1, and Don't Hold Back, Berserk Bunch 1. So that you raise your special attack +3 instead, and you raise your attack stat +3 instead. Now, if you want this, you also have to get the MP Refresh, because Don't Hold Back only has 1 MP. First Aid 4 recovers a little bit of 40% HP when you're low on HP. Leer Catalytic Infliction, the first time you use Leer, you will speed up your move gauge. Leer Team Inflict and Heal. After you use Leer, and it lowers the opponent's defense stat, it has a 40% chance of recovering everyone's HP. I like this. This is good. This is good. Poison Sting, Hostile Environment 2 basically almost guarantees that the opponent will be poisoned if you use Poison Sting. Status Immunity, you cannot be hit by status conditions. Team Sharp Entry raises everyone's critical hit rate +1, so that by getting this and just using your Don't Hold Back, everyone's critical hit rate will be max. And that's about it for Agatha. Can heal the entire team if the opponent is poisoned, paralyzed, burned, asleep if you attack an opponent, or can also heal by using Leer if the opponent's defenses hasn't lowered to -6 yet. So that is Agatha and Arbok. And now let's move on to the second of the variety scouts, Lance and Dragonair. Hiya! Weaker! You already have a Dragonite, why give us a Dragonair? You could have given us a completely different Pokemon instead. Hiya! Anyway, you have Thunder Wave, leaves the opponent paralyzed, and you have Hyper Beam, which is a strong Dragon type attack. And normally this is a normal type attack, but because of Dragon Shift, your passive skill, all normal type attacks become Dragon type attacks. You have Dire Hit All Plus, which you know what this does. And Heart of Justice reduces your sync move countdown -1, raises your special attack +4, raises everyone's speed stat +2, raises everyone's accuracy stat +1, and you want the accuracy increase because Hyper Beam only has 90% accuracy. You need another 10% or another stack of accuracy so that you don't miss your Hyper Beam. And then you receive 20% damage for your HP. Hiya. Anyway, if the opponent is paralyzed, your sync move will become stronger, And his passive skills are interesting. Shock hit freebie 4 if the opponent is paralyzed and you attack it. You have a 50% chance of giving yourself free move next. Hyper Beam is expensive as heck. You want the free move next. Afflict Dragon. Type rebuff. Minus or down. Lowers the opponent's dragon type rebuff after you use Thunder Wave on the opponent for the very first time. So, you want to use Thunder Wave first as your first move. That opponent will get a dragon type rebuff and your hyper beams will get stronger afterward. That's how you use Lance and Dragonair. And at 1 out of 5, you got Lithe, Quick Cure. At 2 out of 5, if there are weather conditions, Atmospheric Acceleration 2 will speed up your move gauge. Now, First Aid 4, you have Heart of Justice, gives you a 30% chance of restoring 1 MP, and what this does, maximizes your special attack, raises everyone's speed, raises everyone's accuracy, lowers your sync move countdown, and take 20% recoil damage. Higher recoil. Paralysis Synergy 1, if the opponent is paralyzed, you get to damage it stronger. Brain Gain 2, 30% chance of giving yourself special moves up next effect when you use an attack. When you use Thunder Wave or Hyper Beam. 30% chance of giving yourself special moves up next effect. Now you can stack this. Use Thunder Wave to paralyze the opponent. If you get a special moves up next effect, use Thunder Wave again. You get another stack of special moves up next. You hit the third opponent with Thunder Wave. Remember that the opponent has to not yet be paralyzed because the move has to be successful in order for Brain Gain 2 to work. So, once you have 3 stacks of special moves up next effect, your Hyper Beam will become 120% stronger. And that's strong. That's good. Brain power, the stronger or the higher your special attack is, the stronger your sync move is gonna be. Heart of Justice ramp up to basically maximizes your special attack if you get this. Hyper Beam, move gauge refresh 4. Paralysis Synergy 3, opponent paralyzed. Static Shock 5, the opponent is paralyzed. Stronger sync move damage. Thunder Wave, go viral 4. 50% chance of paralyzing all opponents if you use Thunder Wave. Now, I'm not sure if Afflict Dragon type rebuff down will be affected with Go Viral 4 for Thunder Wave. But we can assume right now that probably it will not be affected. So, that's for Lance. Typical Dragon type, can give Dragon type rebuff, and can give himself free move next if you're lucky. And that's about it for him. Let's move on to the remaining 2 sync pairs. Starting off with Sygna, Acerola, and Tapu Bulu. This one is another support. This one is another Pokefair. 5 out of 5 grid. Hiya! This one has Bullet Seed, and this one has Sunny Day as your attacks. Bullet Seed, grass type. Sunny Day makes the weather sunny. Alright. B Swords Dance, 3 MP. You can use this 3 times. And this, as usual, as all the other Tapus in this update, requires weather, terrain, or zone to be activated before the move will be activated. And whenever you use this, it raises everyone's attack stat +2, gives everyone physical moves up next effect +1, and charges the move gauge by 2 if the weather is sunny. So, you can use this 3 times. After using 3 times, everyone's attack stat will be maxed. Everyone's physical moves up next effect, depending on if you have an opponent with a physical type attack, will have their physical moves up next effect stacked by at least 3 stacks. And why at least? Because of her passive skill. Passive skill, if you have used a zone or if you have activated Sunny Day, you will raise everyone's physical moves up next effect +1 for everyone. And again, Grassy Terrain debut will, at the start of the battle, Grassy Terrain will activate, which gives you physical moves up next effect for everyone again. So, you can at least bring in Grassy Terrain once, use 2 Sunny Days, use 3 B Swords Dance. You can give everyone up to 6 stacks of physical moves up next effect as early as within 5 turns. 2 Sunny Days, 3 B Swords Dance. Everyone will get physical moves up next effect plus 6. And again, every stack of physical moves up next effect will raise your physical attack damage by 40%, plus 6 is 240% increase in damage. Now, Team Verdant physical damage reduction 3. If the field is grassy terrain, it will reduce everyone's damage received for physical attacks from the opponent. And for her moves, or for trainer move, Now I'm Angry raises everyone's defense stat plus 2, raises everyone's critical stat to max, and raises everyone's speed stat plus 2 when the weather is sunny. You can only use this once, which is sad, but at least you can maximize everyone's critical hit rate this way. So, that's it for her base kit. 1 out of 5, you get Anti-Toxin and Unbending. Your defense cannot be lowered. 2 out of 5, you get Bullet Seed, Move Gauge Refresh. Grassy Tenacity prevents user from flinching, confused, or trapped if the field is grassy terrain. Natural Remedy. Now I am Angry. MP Refresh 2 might be good to raise everyone's defenses one more time. Now I'm Angry. Pet Rally 1 speeds up everyone's speed plus 1 additional 1. Speeding Sun. Sunny Day Sunscreen 1 reduces the damage you receive for herself if the weather is sunny, and when there's grassy terrain, Turbo Turf 2 will speed up your move gauge. 3 out of 5, Bullet Seed no quarter. Your Bullet Seed will always hit 5 times. Bullet Seed Tripping Strike 4, 50% chance times 5 if you have no quarter of reducing everyone or the opponent's speed stat minus 1. Hey, doesn't this sound familiar? 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5. Bullet Strike. Punishing, Bullet Seed. Punishing Strike 2. 4 out of 5. Bullet Seed. Recharging Strike 2. Hey. Hey. This is a copy. This is the Whaler's copy of Variety Lorelei. Except Variety Lorelei has Recharging Strike 5 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. And then Punishing Strike 2, Tripping Strike 2. Plus, Lorelei can recover her HP, Restoring Strike 2, I think. This one does not have that. Instead, you get Team Grassy Restoration 9 when you use an attack. When the user uses a move. I think that's for everything. That's for all the moves that she can use. Everyone's HP will be recovered a little bit when you use a move or whatsoever using Sygna with Acerola. Sus! This is Variety Lorelei all over again. You also have First Aid 4. You have Safety Tether. Applies Enduring after your Sync move is used for the first time. Sunny Day Shielded 1 raises everyone's defense plus 1 after you use Sunny Day. Team Brawn Gain after you use your Sync move for the very first time. Everyone will get a physical moves up next effect. And yeah, that's it. 4 out of 5, you got Adrenaline 1 again. Recharging Strike charges your move gauge. Punishing Strike lowers the opponent's defense 30%. So, again, what this does, Bullet Seed, if you have no quarter activated at 3 copies, 50% chance of lowering the opponent's speed stat times 5. If you have 4 copies, 30% of restoring 1 move gauge times 5. And Punishing Strike, 30% of lowering the opponent's defense times 5 for 5 copies. She gets Vigilance at 5 out of 5, but I think will not be able to get Vigilance. You'll just get Bullet Scene instead and just give Vigilance as a lucky skill. But I might be wrong. We'll have to see her grid later on. But this is a very expensive copy of Variety Lorelei. Shake my head. Last, Sygna with Lana and Tapu Lele. This is the striker of this update. And this one is a physical striker, except that you have Moonblast, a special attack. You know, some opponents, I forgot who, in Legendary Arena, has one half of the HP resistant to physical attacks, one half of the HP resistant to special attacks. This is perfect for that. One special attack, one physical attack. The special attack is a fairy type move. The physical attack is a psychic type move. And we do not exactly have a lot of psychic type physical strikers. This is one of them. So you get Psychic Terrain, and you bring in Psychic Terrain as well. So this one only sets up one kind of terrain. Psychic Terrain. Not Psychic Terrain and another one unlike the others over there. This one only Psychic Terrain and Psychic Terrain only. So, B-Psycho Cut can be activated if the field is Psychic Terrain. This is a 4 move gauge attack that hits everyone. If the field is Psychic Terrain, it will only be 2 move gauge. Much cheaper, and this will always be a critical hit unless the opponent has Vigilance or has critical shield. And then Cast the Line. This is an interesting one. 1 MP and maximizes your own attack and special attack stat. Pretty OP trainer move. And gives you a super effective up next effect when the field is Psychic Terrain. Now, you cannot raise your critical hit rate using her. And you can hit her, rather, the way you want to hit the opponent is B-Psycho Cut will always be a critical hit. But take note that your sync move might not be a critical hit because you do not have your critical hit rate raised when you only pair up with Lana or Sygna with Lana. You have to have a critical hit support if you want to hit the opponent with critical hits. So, you have Team Weird Vibes 2 powers up everyone's attacks if the field is Psychic Terrain, and Akala Ocean Breeze every single time you bring in a terrain, a blah blah blah, increases your own. This one is only your own, not for everyone. Previously, it was for everyone. This one increases your own physical moves up next effect and special moves up next effect by 1 if an ally or yourself raises or brings in a zone, a weather, or a terrain. So, that is it for Sygna with Lana. Now, let's check out her grid. 1 copy, you get those. 2 copies, you get an MP refresh, which probably super effective up next effect. You want that. Psychic Terrain MP refresh 2. She has that. But I'd rather get Weird World at 3 copies. Every single time you use her sync move, the field will be transformed to Psychic Terrain. And she has several different multipliers for Psychic Terrain. Weird Mind 4, 50% chance of giving yourself physical moves up next effect when you hit an opponent when your field is Psychic Terrain. Furious Brain, the higher your special attack is, the stronger your attacks are. And if the opponent is weak to Psychic, super duper effective 1. If the field is Psychic Terrain, Weird Vibes 1. And Haymaker, the higher your attack stat is, the stronger your sync move is. This is a striker. That means if you use your sync move, everyone will get hit by your own sync move. Cast the Line Propulsion 1 reduces your sync move countdown -1. Critical hit. There it is, guys. Critical sync. 3 copies. You cannot raise your own critical hit rate? No problem. 3 copies, get critical sync. Your sync move that hits everyone will always be a critical hit. Except if the opponent has Vigilance or critical shield. 4 copies, you got Adrenaline 1, Psychic Terrain, Catalytic Kick, speeds up your move gauge, but another multiplier at 5 out of 5. If the higher special attack is raised, the stronger your sync move is gonna be. And Impervious, your stats cannot be lowered so that your physical attack and your special attack will be maintained +6 at maximum. With that said, that's a very expensive sync pair, 5 out of 5, but then Brain Power is a good multiplier. Cannot wait to see how powerful she performs in battle. With that, those are the 6 sync pairs in this update. Tapu Koko, or Sygna Suit Hau, brings in Electric Terrain plus Fairy Zone, 2 times to use as a Fairy Zone. Mina brings in Fairy Zone, and you can bring in Rain Dance twice. Agatha can recover everyone's health using Leer or attacking a poisoned, paralyzed, burned, asleep opponent. Lance can give an opponent Dragon type down rebuff or rebuff down. Acerola can bring in Sunny Day as well as Grassy Terrain Sunny Day twice. And Lana can bring in Psychic Terrain and infinite amounts of Psychic Terrain because Psychic Terrain is her specialty. Every one of these 4 new sync pairs, 4 new Sygna suits, have a new passive skill that brings in infinite, extension as well as terrain on sync or terrain or zone on sync. Electric Terrain on sync, Power Plant for Sygna Suit Hau. Fairy Kingdom, Fairy Zone upon sync for Mina. Grassy, what was Acerola's? Let me quickly check back. Green Thumb, infinite, brings in Grassy Terrain after syncing. And Weird World, Psychic Terrain upon syncing. We have been asking for this for the longest time. Like for example, New Year Volkner can only bring in Electric Terrain once after syncing. This time you can bring in Electric Terrain every single time you sync. We have been looking forward to this. Extending those zones, those terrains as long as possible. You can finally extend it to your next sync cycle or something like that by having these sync pairs in your team. But do you need them? Though you do not need them. But, let's quickly check their stats right now. Every single one of these Tapus have 611 HP. Agatha has the lowest HP. Lance has the highest HP, but it's not exactly that far. Meanwhile, Sygna Suit Hau has the highest speed stat. It's pretty far from the others. Sygna Suit Acerola has the lowest speed stat. Special defense. All the support sync pairs in this update has the same special defense stat, 288. While Sygna Suit Lana, the striker, has the lowest special defense stat. Pretty typical. Lowest defense stat is also the striker. Highest defense stat, Sygna Suit Mina and Sygna Suit Acerola are tied up. With Agatha, the other support, not too far behind. Special attack stat, highest is Sygna Suit Hau. And for the attack stat, well, Agatha, Acerola, those are the supports. You can expect them to have pretty low attack stats. But stats are not everything, and these are their multipliers. As you can see over there, there are a lot. But Hau, well, you have to know that Hau has 2 different types of attacks, and Lana has 2 different types of attacks. One fairy type for Hau, and another electric type. One fairy type for Lana, and one psychic type. So, some multipliers have things to do with one terrain, the other one the other terrain / zone. So, Electric Terrain and Fairy Zone for Hau, Fairy Zone and Rain for Mina. The special moves up next. For her trainer moves, it requires Rain, something like that. Agatha, nothing. Dragonite or Dragonair, Lance. Dragon type rebuffs, paralysis. Acerola, grassy terrain. Sunny day for some, maybe. And Lana, psychic terrain. Psychic terrain, psychic terrain. Easiest to use probably Lana out of the bunch because she just has psychic terrain. You don't have to worry about swapping between grassy terrain and sunny day. Why do I have to use rain dance when I'm using a fairy type attack? But if you're looking for more synergy with other sync pairs, you know, the more fairy, the more rain dance units, the better for Entei. The more zone units, the better for Cobalion. The more, rather terrains, I think, for Cobalion. The more of a particular sync type, you know, better combinations. And in terms of damage, this is what you can expect for them. And let me hide myself. 9 million for Sygna suit Lana. That's not bad at all for a striker. 9 million. Not bad. Strongest is Hau with 3 stacks of special moves up next effect. With, was it 3 stacks or 4 stacks? 3 stacks, 1 built in from Mele Mele Ocean Breeze, 2 from Fairy Wish. Sygna suit Acerola, 6 stacks of physical moves up next effect. I think Mina can give herself special moves up next effect, or whoever can give themselves special moves up next effect has given themselves special moves up next effect. Whoever cannot give themselves special moves up, super effective up next rather, does not have the super effective up next effect. Sygna suit Hau has the highest sync nuke out of everyone, but everyone else does not really trail behind. Everyone is pretty good. Agatha, lowest damage, but then recover everyone's HP. We'll have to see how effective she is in battle. But do these numbers interest you? Or are these ordinary? Because, you know, it's only you who'll decide. Do you need these sync pairs or not? These are maximum copies. These are maximum copies to achieve these amounts of damage. So, by getting 1 copy, do not expect those numbers to reach that high. If you want 1 copy, just check out my 1 copy, 1 out of 5 or none out of 5 video, or discuss their base kits. But these require 5 copies, 5 copies, 3 copies at least, 3 copies, 5, and all sync tiles are active, which is impossible to do. But you get the idea. But again, it's not up to me, it's up to you, because faves over meta. And with that said, if you want to know if your gems are doing well, you can check out my how many gems can we get video and see if you have enough to scout for more than 1 copy, or at least 1 copy, or more than 1 sync pair in this update. Because I got lucky with Sygna suit Hau. I'm happy with my pulls. I hope that that will translate to all the other sync pairs. Because it's rare. It's the first time that happened, and the game has been like almost 4 years already. And that has never happened before. But that said, that's the end. My May 2023 pairs who to scout for video. I have a very bad sinus. The mucus is stuck in my top of the nose going to my head. And it's so hard to talk. Sorry if I'm pausing every now and then. Every time I bring my head down, my head just surges with pain. I'm going to take a nice long sleep after this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you appreciate the effort. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you haven't. It's so hard to talk. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, who you are scouting for in this update. Are you scouting for 1 copy, more than 1 copy? Are you skipping none out of 5, as we call it? Or are you wailing for a particular sync pair? Or you're saving for the 4th year anniversary, but it's still very far away, guys. You can spend your gems right now. If you're saving for the 4th year anniversary, you can start saving next month. There's still time. Next month. Next month. There's still time. But don't let me stop you. Do whatever you want to do. with that said, this is the end of my video. I want to give a huge shout out again to all the gifters of my channel. Thank you everyone for your extra generosity and support. And thank you to all the members of my channel for your long-term support. Thank you, Shadow Phil. 20-something months. More than 2 years. Master Ball tier member. Alcin, Roy, Luca, Jeremy for more than 2 years as well. 1 year for Sasri, Amrion, and Iwis. Thank you, Ultra Ball tier Marokmans. Thank you, Great Ball tier Aurora Espion, Yuki Murasaki. Thank you, Premier Ball tier member Shido. Thank you to my other Pokeball tier members, Tatsuya Gold, Kundan, Pokefriendo, Edward. Thank you so much. Join them right now by clicking on the join button. And you know that you're supporting a good cause because I do these videos for you guys every single month. And every single data mine. Just in case they release more than one data mine a month. Sus. But with that said, that's it. This is Sol, also known as Aspial Gum, also known as Spatial Gum, also known as Grunt, the artist team Skull Grunt. I will see you in the next video. Rawr.